Good afternoon everyone, it's Mr. Aegis here. This Sunday I am actually inside, as you can probably tell. It's quite chilly outside and it's also really windy. So yeah, I'm indoors today. I hope you had a good week since I last left you a message. I hope you're keeping up with the work and keeping up with the exercise and keeping up with sort of things to keep your mind from wandering and keeping your mind healthy, hopefully by sort of carrying out some of the mindfulness exercises that you've been sort of pointed in the right direction for. It's another week into lockdown and we're probably all wondering when it's going to end. I know that our Prime Minister is going to be speaking about easing the restrictions in one way or another this evening. What that will mean for us as teachers and as students, I'm not too sure, but we will hopefully see what he says tonight. So as always, I'm going to start with the birthdays for people from today until next Saturday. Apologies again if I mispronounce any of your names, but what I'd like us to do as I read each of their names, if you know them, just kind of keep them in your thoughts and in your prayers. And hope they have a good birthday. So in year 7 we have Vanessa Kachak, Charlie Kay, Kersley Amoroso, Mia Goddard and David Matetra. In year 8 we have Macy Woolerton. In year 9 we have Hattie Pycroft and Oliver Hall Stace. In year 10 we have Erica Tembo, Tom Collins, Dan Abel, Jordan Albertin, Alex Hunt and Jasmine Goddard. In year 11 we have Jacob Lee Snade, Max Freeman, Keris Ruddy, Bethany Dearden and Louis Warden. There aren't any birthdays of anyone in year 12 this week. So in year 13, and these are the students who are turning 18, are Fabrizia Talbot and Maddie Price. So I wish you on behalf of all the teachers and support staff and students a happy birthday and hope you get to celebrate in a special way. The word of the week this week is vocation, and keep an eye out for somewhere the NDCYS extraordinary video, which will also there'll be a link to it on the school website, and whichever one of the NDCYS team are talking about it will mention the idea of vocation. So the idea that we are all called in one way or another to try and live out the sort of gospel message. Even if we don't think that it's necessarily a sort of a God-given thing, we might be doing something that in one way or another is showing that idea of love and compassion and forgiveness and care in our daily lives. So at the moment, I'd imagine that most of us can probably think of someone or in our lives or someone that we might have heard of through the media of someone who's doing one of those things. It might be that they are a doctor or a nurse. Might be a priest or a nun or a monk. It might be someone who works in a care home, someone who works in a school for people with special needs. All these people have vocations. Your teachers, you know, we all would just say that this is a vocation and not just a job. So I suppose, what is a vocation and where does it come from? Well, you know, you might know what you want to do later on in life. It might be that you don't, and that at some point in your life you have this kind of deep sort of urge to kind of do something. And I suppose sometimes the thing that we feel that we are being asked to do or being called to do isn't something that we'd necessarily thought about. And when that happens, we can very often sort of try and run away from it. So what I would like you to think about is, what do you think your vocation might be at the moment as a son or a daughter, as a brother or a sister? You know, even though you might not consider it something big, it is still really, really important to be able to live out that gospel message in a very, very sort of meaningful way, but in a way that you might sort of think is not particularly sort of life-changing or momentous, but actually it probably is. So the idea of vocation is that we are called by God to do something, and I think for everyone we are probably called to be loving and kind and compassionate and forgiving and accepting, and to tell people, you know, what the truth is. If we know what the truth is, then we need to be able to tell people that so that they can also sort of follow that message. So what's been happening this week? If I wanted to kind of offer a reflection, well, I've got a prayer that I'm going to read at the end of this. And I've been meaning to say this quite a few times, but I keep on forgetting in one of my videos. There were two things. One was about how people are acting. You know, on the whole, I would say that most people are following guidelines about how to stay safe and how to protect people and how to look after the NHS. And I think probably most of us have experienced a situation where we've been somewhere and we've seen someone not abiding by the rules or the expectations, and that can be quite sort of aggravating, because you think, well, if I'm doing it, then why isn't everybody else doing it? But a lady down my street, a lady called Sarah, who's got this little boy called Josh, she walks up and down the road every day, just giving him a bit of exercise and getting him out of the house. I was speaking to her about this, and she says, well, actually, we can only control the things that we do. We can't control other people. And that really sort of struck me as being a really important bit of advice, because it stops you from getting stressed out, because actually we can't really do anything to control anybody else. We can only really sort of make sure we're doing the right thing. And the other thing was, when I went for another bike ride, and this week I was up at 5:10 on Monday morning, and I thought, well, I'm not going to lie in bed trying to get back to sleep just because I can't. So I thought I'll go for a bike ride. So before the sun came up, and went down by the River Trent on my way out for my bike ride, and the sun was coming up. And I think what's been so beautiful at the moment is that nature has had a chance to breathe. It's had a chance to stop. There are hardly any planes in the sky, much fewer cars, and it kind of gave me a feeling of hope that actually we can survive without, well, I say we can't really survive because we do need the economy, we do need those things to work, but I just kind of have a hope that maybe when we come out of this, we can sort of change the way we've been living in a much more eco-friendly, environmentally friendly sort of way. My slight sort of fear is that we'll just go back to normal and nothing will sort of change. So I suppose a plea to you all, and to all of us at school, is that somehow we do whatever we can to go back into life when this is all over, but in a kind of a more eco sort of aware sort of way, because ultimately the environment has benefited, I think, from the break that it's been given. And it would be a real shame to sort of take away what it's gained from this time that we've all been in lockdown. So what I wanted to do was just finish with a prayer, or an excerpt from a prayer from St. Francis of Assisi, who is the patron saint of nature and animals, and it's called the Canticle of the Sun. And this is a prayer from me for us all, of sort of hope that we try and recognise the importance of nature in our lives, and that nature really does give us life. If we've been out in the sun recently, or we've been doing some exercise, without it we would be worse off. And it goes like this: Most high, all powerful, all good Lord, all praise is yours, all glory, honour and blessings. We praise you, Lord, for all your creatures, especially for Brother Sun, who is the day through whom you give us light. We praise you, Lord, for Sister Water, so useful, humble, precious and pure. We praise you, Lord, for Brother Fire, through whom you light the night. He is beautiful, playful, robust and strong. We praise you, Lord, for Sister Earth, who sustains us with her fruits, coloured flowers and herbs. We praise and bless you, Lord, and give you thanks, and serve you in all humility. And it's that little prayer from St. Francis that I'd like to leave you with, and to reflect on and think about how we can be more caring for the environment as we move out of this lockdown. But I wish you all well, and God bless. Look after yourselves and stay in contact with us all, and stay safe. Bye bye.